Hey there, Kaleidoscope Clan. How's everyone doing? It's Mariposa Maat. And today is a very unusual day in that it's raining where I live. It's not very common, so I'm wearing some of the warmer clothes that I have. Fortunately, it's not very cold, but it is raining, and I'm just getting back from walking through the rain. So, I mean, it's not really raining that hard either because I didn't have to use an umbrella. It's just notable. But the event that I just came from was a Mexico Negro event. So Mexico has picked up the idea of having putting a spotlight on Black people, right? When you say Mexico Negro, it's just talking about all people who are brown and have, coarser hair, curlier hair, which is not really what I expected so much. I expected it to be really about giving details about the connection between Africa and Mexico, because in some of the promotional materials, that is what they, talked about, or that's what's mentioned. But it ended up where I saw two documentaries. Let me see. One of them was called, I don't see it, but one of them was called, Jamaica y Tamarindo. And it was about how Jamaica and Tamarindo come originally from Africa, which, is good to know. It didn't really bring the connection of how or anything like that, It's just the fact that those things which are, in the Mexican diet prominently, are originally from Africa, which is good information. And then the other one was called Hijos de la Costa. And that was really around the music in mostly Puerto Escondido in Oaxaca. And it was a beautiful documentary showing the music. But what was a little disturbing to me was that it was clear that they weren't from Africa, to me. That, a lot of Mexicans are brown-skinned, right? And indigenous people, there were Black indigenous people like the Olmec, obviously. And so the fact that it was like Mexico's Negros without giving any information about the differences, like where these things came from. I know that they do tie a lot of it to Africa, but it's concerning that people's minds automatically go to Africa because the indigenous people here were Black people. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I think is a real psych op for Black people overall in the Americas, just like in the United States. All Black people are associated with Africa, and all due respect to Africa, I'm definitely, mixed. I'm definitely African, predominantly, at least according to my DNA tests. I'm like 70% African, but how ambiguous it's left regarding the indigenous people of the land is troubling to me, because the indigenous people are the original landowners, and I think that it is intentionally left ambiguous so that Black people will always feel like they are foreigners in a land where in reality many of us are from the land itself. Like no one ever talks about the Olmecs because they were clearly the same phenotype as African people. So, yeah, I really enjoyed the film, but what I'm saying is that I saw people who seemed to clearly be from Mexico, and some people who were also African descendants, the two mixed together, engaging in what we associate as being African culture, but how much of it is also indigenous culture? Because it seems that the indigenous brown people were very similar to African people, is what I'm saying. And when we water it down and just say Mexico Negro, then we're not allowed to learn about the distinctions. Just like if you have something about white people in America, you wouldn't just say white people. You would break it down to the specific tiny little countries, because actually their countries are like states in most places, because all of Europe is very small. But we know the details of the small groups of people and give them countries, right? But then you have huge areas like Brazil and, Mexico, where they're just all thrown together as Black people. That's a travesty to me, because there's such richness in each group of people that I would like to know more about regarding the details. So I do think it's good that they are putting a spotlight on positive things around brown and Black people in Mexico, because, in Mexico, Black people, if you say Mexico Negro, Black people are pretty much associated with being indentured servants and workers and in poverty. That's pretty much what people think of here. Of course, music, but, it's good to see more the nuances, to be able to see the people in their complexities, expressing themselves and all of that. I think that's good. But again, I think that we need to get away from generalizing so much based on color, because that's kind of racist. It's still putting all Black people, all brown, all people who are not white into one category, when brown and Black people are the majority. So there's just so much complexity that could be offered in this, in this story. And they have more things tomorrow. And you would think that you would be able to find enough Black people, or Mexico Negras, I don't know, to fill a program, but they have a lot of people who are not Black who are presenting things, which, if they have something to present, fine. But you would think that if they have a program for only 2 days, that they would be able to find enough Black people to fill the program. And that's not the case. So anyway, that is my critique on that. And I feel the same way about the United States, where I'm from, because clearly when they separated Blacks from whites and put Blacks in servitude and slavery, they did it to indigenous people too, not just people from Africa. And so it's something that needs some attention, as far as righting the wrongs and the lies of history, as far as who's native and who's not to this land. So that's all I have to say about that. Just food for thought. It's very important. The truth is very important, and so we should never relax until we get to that truth. and, you know, especially about our ancestry for Black and brown people. We're very much focused on our ancestry as in our culture. And so, you know, to know those details is very important. For me, it's very important. And so I'm going to continue to research. So on that note, I hope that that gave someone some food for thought, you know, not staying in the boxes that we've been put into, but realizing the expansiveness of who we really are is really important. So on that note, I'm going to encourage you to continue to embody your sacred transformation. This is Mariposa Maát. And until next time, bidding you adieu. Peace.